I will start with comparing shapecasts and raycasts for better understanding. Left one is Raycast and the right one is the blockcast. A raycast is basically a two-dimensional cast of the three-dimensional world. A raycast from the center of this part would look like this vector. Raycasts don't have depth. That means if we want to detect everything in front of this red part we would need to do more than millions of raycasts. Raycasts are generally good for using with things like guns or other detection mechanisms which need a touch point specially. I will be referring to the same points with both blockcasts and spherecasts as shapecasts from now on. Shapecasts work like a moving part which scans for overlaps from the given origin and direction. Shapecasts don't give us exact hit positions, however it gives us better detection when we are using this for things like projectile detections. In this script, I have one raycast and one blockcast. Setting up a raycast just requires an origin position, a direction with length and raycast parameters. Blockcast requires a C-frame instead, and then we provide a size. I'm using parts size because I want the part to detect the objects in front of it. After that, I provide a direction with length and add the raycast parameters. It will print the results to the output, which we can observe later on. As we can see, the raycast could not detect the part, but the shapecast could. The part is above the center of this part, so Raycast couldn't detect it. However, the blockcast could. As seen on the previous part, the block's size was able to overlap with this part. This doesn't mean that raycasts are worse than shapecasts. They have different use cases, and before shapecasts were added, detecting parts like this was not that easy. I'll also quickly show two cases. Since I use the part size, if I move this part above the measurement part, it won't detect the part. Also if I move the part in front of this vector which we used for visualizing the raycast to here, the raycast will be able to detect the part because it is on the ray which we put to the center. In this second example, we have two spheres which will move to the walls. Left one is the raycast and the right one is the spherecast. In both of them, I have a script which will move the sphere and then do either a raycast or a spherecast. The difference between a spherecast and a blockcast is in a spherecast we use the radius instead of the size. I showed the raycast and spherecast functions before, so I'll be jumping to the results directly. The raycast one won't be able to detect this wall, even though it hits the wall, because we raycast from the center. In a real game you can't know where this target would be, so you would need to raycast from all of the sphere area. With shapecasts however, this wall will be able to get detected because it overlaps with the wall, and we use the object size in script. Here in this demo, you can see that once they are in a one stud distance, raycast print doesn't show up, however the shapecast one does. Because as I showed before, the raycast was above the wall. That was it for this video. Hope you understood. See you in another one.